Number. Good morning, caller. Who's this?
Good morning, Frank Turney here.
Good morning,
Hello,
Frank.
Wow, September 17th, Constitution Day, 1787, seemed just like yesterday.
I don't remember it, but I'm sure I'm glad it happened.
Really, on my Wikipedia dictionary, liberty is a concept, a political philosophy that identifies a condition in which human beings, hello?
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
Are able to govern themselves, to behave according to their own free will, and take responsibility for their actions. There are different conceptions of liberty which articulate the relationship of individuals to society in different ways, including some which relate to life under a social contract or to existence under a state of nature, and some which the active exercise of freedom and rights as essential liberty. Now, you're familiar with John Stuart Mill, are you?
Yes.
Well, in his work on liberty was the first to recognize the difference between liberty as a freedom to act and a liberty as the absence of coercion. In his book, Two Concepts of Liberty, Isaiah Berlin formally framed the difference between these two perspectives as a distinction between two opposite concepts of liberty, positive liberty and negative liberty. The latter designates a negative condition which individuals protect from tyranny and arbitrary exercise of authority, while former refers to have the means of opportunity rather than the lack of restraint of do things. I'd like to read John Stuart Mill's book, that's for sure, on liberty.
No, not on the air, Frank.
I know that.
Take too long.
But I would like to say this. I read this at the Republican luncheon. September 17th is Constitutional Day. This is the day we celebrate the creation of a document that has done more to limit government power and expand personal liberty than anything else in human history. Our Constitution today, under the Patriot Act, has been perverted. Thank you.
Thank you, Frank. Appreciate
Thanks,
the call.
Frank.
458-TALK is the number. We'll move on to the next caller. Good morning. This is Patriot's Lament. Who is this?
Hey, this is Sean.
Good morning, Sean. What's on your mind?
I'm curious. I mean, I can't agree with you guys more, but how do you explain to a population they're losing their freedoms when they don't even know what they are?
That's a really good point.
That is.
I mean, we'll go right back to the Constitution.
That's like explaining to a blind person what color the sky is when they've been blind their entire life.
Yeah.
You're not going to get the point across no matter how much you explain it. They're still not going to get it.
Well, liberty's a nice thought, you know.
Well, it's a very good point. I mean, one of the problems is that we look to, I mean, this is Constitution Day. One of our problems is that we look to the Constitution as our freedom, the thing that gave us freedom. That's one of the first mistakes we make. Our Constitution was set up.
The only people that really understand it is the vet. I mean, if you look at an old-timer that was in World War II or in Pearl Harbor or whatever else, they completely understand it. But when they try to explain it to somebody to get their point across, they're looked at as insane or, well, we don't live in that kind of world anymore. Well, we're going to if you don't open up your damn eyes.
Yeah,
I think we almost live in it even more than we did then.
And actually, I'm gonna take exception with what you said, Josh. I don't think that the first mistake is that we look at the Constitution as something that gave us our freedom. I think the first mistake is we don't look at the Constitution at all.
Yeah.
When is the last time my mother, who is, boy, what is she? She's 76 years old. I was just talking with her the other day, and she said that she just read the Constitution for the first time in 50 years the other day.
Right, Steve, but what Josh is trying to say is people look to the Bill of Rights and things as their rights when all they were is enumerated. Our liberties are inherent in everyone, and the Constitution was set down as a device to limit government and not as a device to limit the people. And it's been misconstrued as, here's your rights in this document, and we'll change them as we will, rather than here's the limitations of government.
Right, and so when a judge lays down a judgment and says, well, you know, the Fourth Amendment take the TSA or whatever, that doesn't really apply. Or knocking down people's doors because they smelled something, they hear something.
Oh, you mean like when it's now been said that if you smell marijuana, you can knock down somebody's door. You don't need to go and get a search warrant now.
If they think they smell it. So now we're conditioned to accept the fact that if a judge says, well, no, this is okay, we go, oh, shoot. Well, yep, he's right, because here's our rights. Our rights are right here in this Constitution, and if, you know, the way it's set up, if this judge says that this applies in this case, then and if the judge finally says that now we're going to take that out of the Bill of Rights, he can even do that. Or we can have a constitutional convention and repeal one of the amendments to the Constitution.
Like the Second Amendment.
Doesn't matter. Well, you don't get your rights from that document. The document was set up to restrain the government. But in order to do that, I mean, there's a lot of talk and controversy, even among a few of us here. Does the Constitution, is it really in effect? Is it a instrument that even worked? Did it fail, or did it actually sanction what's happening right now? I think that it was a good document originally, and it was the people that failed, not the document that failed, because it's a document that has to be, I mean, read Jefferson. The only way this is going to work is if the people put their foot down, constantly put their foot down, and hold the government to it, not hold the people to it. Hold the government to it, and we don't do that. We allow these things where, like with the Commerce Clause, we let the Supreme Court say, yeah, well, the Commerce Clause is all-encompassing. Back in the 30s, I think it was the 30s, with Franklin Roosevelt. Mm-hmm. He used the Commerce Clause to basically destroy, gave the government crazy powers. And when the Supreme Court said, no, we're not going to do this, he said, well, you are going to judge this law the way I want you to, or I will pack the Supreme Court. I'll pass a law where I can put as many Supreme Court justices on there that I want, and I'll put my justices on there. So basically you had a great big act of tyranny right there. So we gave the federal government more power than they were originally enumerated with. And who's the blame? Was it Franklin Roosevelt? Was it the Constitution? Or was it the people that allowed them to do it? Just like, who was to blame when they took the gold from everyone? The dummies that gave them their gold are to blame.
To the caller's point too, you can't explain what's been lost to people who've never known it. There's an essay again that we read in our book group. It's by this guy. Etienne de la Boétie is the guy's name, and it's not spelled at all like that because he was French. But it's The Politics of Obedience is the name of the essay. And in there he says that he feels sorry for the people who have never known liberty, right? Because they don't know what they're missing. And it's impossible for them to know what they don't know, right? By definition. But he says even in that condition, right? Even in a condition where everyone grows up under some tyrannical king or something, a certain number of people, a certain tiny minority will emerge that sticks their head up and goes, this isn't right. Something here is wrong. And liberty will always rediscover itself sort of in that way. And so with the country and the state it is today, that's kind of what this show is about. It's kind of like group therapy for people who are way outside the mainstream thought on this these days.
The part of the issue too of what we try to do here on this show is to get people to think on their own and to do research on their own and to read and to stop simply listening to what somebody else tells you is the way things are.
I don't know why it's so hard. Everything we talk about on this show is as clear as the waters of Bristol Bay.
Oh, right.
Well, and also, look at, we can all, no matter who we know, anyone, pick out who you know, just about anyone you talk to, they say something's not right. They may not know, they may not agree with how you would go about making it right, but everyone knows there's something not right.
All right, stay with us.
Need to be shown what it is.
We'll be back after the news here at the bottom of the hour.
To Fox News on Local Talk Radio, KFI.
Fox News Radio, I'm Karen Riegel. Federal investigators on the scene now in Reno, Nevada, trying to figure out what went wrong at an air show. A plane from World War II crashed, killing the pilot, 2 others, and injuring 50 more.
This plane was doing 400 miles an hour. It was doing basically stunt flying as it was part of this race. It yanked up as he pulled it up out of the race, which is normal protocol when there's a problem. He called for a mayday, and then he went down straight into the ground.
Fox's Adam Housley in Reno. Some in New York not happy with Iran's president, Mahmoud Ahmadinejad, staying at the Warwick Hotel.
The president of United Against Nuclear Iran sent a letter to the general manager here at the Warwick protesting the decision to allow the president to stay here.
Robert Moses with our Fox News TV affiliate WNYW in New York. Iran's leader is in town for the United Nations. Fox News, we report, you decide.
Did you miss this week's Shooter's Corner? Archive shows for the last month online at KFAR660.com.
play this entire song, but I would also, I'll just recommend people go ahead and look up Muse Uprising. That's the name of the song. Look it up on YouTube or elsewhere, your favorite music provider, and listen to the lyrics of this song, because it talks about how basically the only way that we are not going to be stuffed into a box by government is if we stand up, not just for ourselves, but for the rights of those around us. And I think this is how most rights get eroded, is that somebody comes in and passes a law that only affects a certain segment of the society. For instance, I'll use the wood burning ban. They're suggesting here with the Proposition 2, remember this is a popular ballot. Okay, this is going to be something that your neighbors are going to decide on, that will go out and restrict the ability of people to burn wood. It will make certain types of wood burners and coal burners illegal to even have or to use, and it will go in and fine people who are, quote, misusing their stoves by causing too much smoke. Now, what standards they use have not been enumerated yet. What kind of fines they're wanting to do is not going to be used yet. But and this is actually not the personal story I asked you if I could share. So I'm kind of going off a little bit here off the reservation is in terms of going into more of a local issue. But how many people do you know that do not burn wood that are really, really incensed that they would come in and restrict the rights of other people to burn wood? Do you know many people that are incensed about it?
No, I mean, who cares? It's just the Jews.
Well, okay, no, that's my point exactly. Is that when we allow laws to be passed that only intersect with a certain segment of the society, and we know that we're restricting their rights, but it doesn't really affect me, so I'm not going to get involved. Well, that's how everybody's rights get trashed.
Dave doesn't burn wood, and he's against it.
You don't burn wood?
I burn wood outside.
Oh, nice.
In the most inefficient manner known to man.
Nice. It's soaking wet, believe me. But I burn it during the summer when there's all the fires going on, and we know that outdoor wood burning does not affect people's health.
No, it's the forest fires don't.
It's when you put when you split logs that are dry and you put them in a metal box that burns it very efficiently, that is the only smoke that causes people to die.
That's good, because last night up at Moose Camp, we lit a fire and the wood was all wet, and the entire valley was blue smoke.
Right, that's fine because it's outside, just like the forest fires. That smoke doesn't affect anyone ever, and anyone who says it does, they're lying.
That's why I soak my firewood in diesel so it burns efficiently.
All right,
this is clear.
Clear as the waters of Bristol Bay. All right, now everybody has said it, right? Except maybe Dave. Dave, have you said it?
Said it.
You already said it. Now we've all said it. Now we can move on. All right.